Your Democratic opponent said that he hopes that his fundraiser tonight with Hillary Clinton is speculative. It is
productive.
Productive. Thank you.
I think that was the word.
The word was productive. How are you doing on fundraising? And does it really matter, that he is going to be raising a lot of money tonight with this fundraiser?
I raised a lot of money last week. We raised money. I had a couple of different fundraisers this weekend. Every day we do fundraisers. That's what we have to do to keep funding the campaign and keep making sure we have enough money to keep going through the campaign. We're filing, I think, as of this Friday. I don't know what the numbers are, but I feel good.
But here at the last minute that Hillary Clinton is getting involved in the race and at least doing a fundraiser for him, does that kind of put the stamp of approval on him as she approves of him, wants him to be the next mayor, and does make a difference to you?
Why does that surprise you?
That Hillary Clinton is supporting a fellow Democrat?
Right. He's worked for her. He was her campaign manager. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. No one should be. I fully expected it.
This morning also he talked about a little bit about crime because he was with Eric Schneiderman talking about that all cell phones should have automatic lock on it when they're stolen. And on the Crown Heights stuff, he talked about how he didn't really have a role in that at City Hall. You feel that he did, have a role, not do enough? What?
So many people have said, both on the record and under testimony, that he was given information during that period of time. Bill Lynch, when he testified, said no one gave him information. Bill Lynch was under oath. That information was needed to have be put in David Dinkins' hands at the time. We had, as the Gigante report said, and as I believe the New York Times said, dealing with that riot that happened in Crown Heights was an unmitigated failure because information wasn't being given to the people at the top. Bill de Blasio was given information by people in the community. They've all testified to that effect, and it stayed there. It stayed with Bill de Blasio. Yes, so he has a role to play here.
What should voters take away from that experience? Like, what should voters take away from that information at this point, so many years later?
It's so emblematic and of Bill de Blasio's complete and total experience to be the mayor. He doesn't understand what you need to do to be as a mayor. He worked as a mayoral staffer. He didn't provide information up to his boss. That's just purely understanding a chain of command.
What information exactly are you talking about that he had and didn't pass on?
If you read your newspaper, there were numerous people who said that they had spoken to him and that Bill Lynch, who's passed away, and unfortunately we can't talk to Bill about this, but we do have his testimony on record where he said nobody on his staff gave him any information. That's where the disconnect is.
Okay, but there's no specific fact that you think that he had and withheld?
I have no idea at the time what happened. I was doing everything I could at that time to get David Dinkins out of office and Rudy Giuliani the mayor.
Joe asked this morning if beyond putting a kill switch on cell phones, there were any other ideas for how to bring down cell phone related thefts, which are on the rise in New York.
Sure.
De Blasio talked again mostly about community policing as a response. So, police should know who's going to steal the phones in the neighborhood.
One of the things that we need to do is to educate the public, most notably when you see where most, at least in my experience on the subway, making sure that people hold on to their smartphones or their tablets, especially if you're sitting near a door, to make sure that you're not poking away as the door is closing, because that's an area of vulnerability. We need to educate the public as to how to properly use and where to properly use our cell phones as well as our smartphones and our tablets. That's one part of it. The other part of it is we need to make sure that we crack down not just on those who we have to arrest those who are actually doing it, but we've got to go one step further. Where are they selling them? Who are they going to? They're stealing them because they're able to pass them along to somebody else. Let's go to that somebody else the same way as we've done. We've seen a reduction in stolen cars in this city dramatically greater than the overall reduction in crime because of the policies of the police department of saying, you know what, let's go to the chop shops. Let's go to the places who are wholesaling these stolen cars and let's shut them down. We need to do the same thing for all of these stolen electronic equipment.
Beyond simply debate performance, how do you expect to close what is still a very big gap between yourself and Bill de Blasio?
We need to get the information out about where I stand. As all the polls show, the majority of New Yorkers stand with me on most of the issues, so I'm going out there and I'm talking about the issues.
What specifically can be done? Do you think with 2 weeks to go to narrow such a big
One of the
lead?
things I've never done in the campaign is talk about tactics. I'm not going to start now.
Do you expect to take a
Can you talk a
different
little bit
tone or
about-
strategy in tomorrow's debate than you did in last one? I think at various points you suggested you should have been more aggressive.
Yes,
In what way?
I will have a different tone. Yes. I'm not going to say any more. I'm going to be able to talk about my viewpoints, and I'm going to be able to present who I believe Bill de Blasio is. And unlike Bill, I'm going to tell the truth about who he is instead of him making up stories about who I am and who I'm affiliated with. And I'll get that point across.
So how is your message resonating here in the last couple of days since the ad about crime and questioning his inexperience on this issue? What kind of response are you getting from voters on that issue?
I'm getting very positive responses from people. I was in Brooklyn yesterday, Bronx the other day. All have responded in a positive way. I was in Staten Island just before this meeting. I'm getting all good responses from it. I mean, people are worried about jobs. They're also worried about crime. They're also worried about making sure their children get a proper education. This is not just a single issue campaign, but it's one in which I will make sure that the people know what I believe to be and how dangerous Bill de Blasio would be as mayor when it comes to crime and crime reduction and pushing us backwards.
Another poll comes out today. How important is it to see health numbers?
I'm not worried about Quinnipiac polls. Their veracity is always questionable.
Is this Crown Heights example sort of the subject of him not passing on information 20 years ago during the Jenkins administration? Is that
No,
is that a good example of what de Blasio will
this is
be?
the first time I've talked about Crown Heights in 20 some odd years. I'm being asked a question and I just answered it. Is it a good example? It's one of many examples of Bill's inexperience. There's nothing in his background that leads him to show that he will be an effective, an efficient, or overall good mayor.
So you're going to talk in the debate about who he is and who you are.
Any other questions?
Can I ask about your outreach in the Hasidic community and some of the criticism that that's one of your bases and it's not been as good as it should be?
Based on what?
Well, Mr. Abraham standing over there, he had some critical things to say about you and your campaigning in the Hasidic community. You haven't
I don't
built
know
up
who
that
Mr.
base.
Abraham is. I have my own advisors in the Hasidic community, people who want to, talk about my campaign who know nothing about it. You get what you pay for. There's nothing there. My relations in the Hasidic community and with the Satmars, with all of them. I shouldn't have to name all of them. I think it's very, very good. And I did
Following on that topic, have you had any outreach from either the state Republican Party or other Republican Party leaders who have not been active in helping your campaign so far?
I don't know of any Republican Party leaders who are not active in my campaign. The state party's been very, very helpful. They'll be very, very helpful in poll watching and other information like that. We're working hand in glove.
Tonight, de Blasio has a fundraiser with Hillary Clinton chairing. How concerned are you about the gap in campaign
I'm not
funds?
concerned about the funding. We're not that far apart in fundraising. I fundraise every single day, sometimes 2 and 3 times a day. We'll know the results this Friday of our next fundraising period. I'm not concerned. I've got enough money to go on the air and do what I need to do to get my message out.
What's your position on commuter tax?
What's my position on the commuter tax?
Yeah.
It should have never been rescinded by Shelley Silver and George Pataki and the majority leader at the time, Joe Bruno.
Would you take the subway as often as Mayor Bloomberg does?
I take the subway as often as any mayor ever has, having been the person who took the subways before I ran the subway system. I took the subways while I ran the subway system. I took the subways this weekend. I don't know how to compare what Mayor Bloomberg, does or doesn't do. I love the subway system. I will take it frequently. I even like the buses.